All right, guys. It's going to be pretty straightforward today. I hope you guys are familiar with the distance formula. If you're not, you need to make yourself familiar with the distance formula, or at least the Pythagorean theorem, because that's what's going to make a lot of these things go. So we're talking about perimeter and area on the coordinate plane. And sometimes they're very straightforward and simple, sometimes not. But there are definitely some shortcuts we can take to go ahead and make this process a little bit easier. So the first thing I want to notice about this is they're asking me for the perimeter of triangle GHI. Now, very nicely, this side right here goes from positive 7 to negative 10. So we know that that's 17. If you want, you can count the boxes, okay? But again, it goes from positive 7 down negative 10, that's 17. If we notice, it looks like it's an isosceles triangle. It is not, okay? Notice that there are 9 on this side and only 8 on this side, okay? So we need to find GI and IH. And the easiest way to do that is to go ahead and do yourself a little Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so I'm going to draw myself a little triangle out here. You have a couple different ways you can draw this triangle. You can draw it out here. You could have drawn it in here. It doesn't really matter. But 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay? So 8 squared plus 9 squared is going to be GI squared. So I know that GI is equal to the square root of 9 squared plus 8 squared. Okay? And down over here, again, I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I know that this distance is 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so again, I got a 9 by 9, so I know that IH or HI, I'll call it HI, is equal to the square root of 9 squared plus 9 squared. So let's go ahead, let's break out the calculator. I forgot to take that out. Okay, and let's say what is the square root of 9 squared plus 9 squared, okay? And that's going to be 12.7279. I would suggest, well, 12.73 we'll round it to, 12.73. It says round to the nearest tenth. I would go out to the nearest hundredth until your final step. But what you can also do is you can kind of keep that there and say, I want to add to that the square root of 9 squared plus 8 squared. You know, so you just kind of keep this process going. And to that, we can add 17, and that will give me my perimeter of 41.8, we'll call it. So we have this, whatever this was, plus 17, 41.8, okay? Again, if you wanted to do it as 3 separate steps, that's totally fine too. You can say the square root of 9 squared plus 8 squared. You can actually get that number and say it's 12.04. Okay, and then you could just add these 3 things together and you'll get 41.8 units. The reason I like to leave things is because whenever you're dealing with radicals and irrational numbers, it's nice to keep all those decimals kind of handy in your calculator so you don't have to keep track of them all. But again, to each his own. Like I said, you can do these individually, then add them all up, or just kind of do them in a calculator. If you want, you could actually do all 3 in your calculator if you're really careful. Okay? All right. What's the area of triangle DEF? Now, you would have to do the base, 1/2 the base times the height. I'm going to suggest you don't do that. I'm going to suggest you go ahead and you draw yourself a rectangle around this. Okay, and what you'll kind of see is that if I take the area of this whole rectangle and I subtract from it this triangle and this triangle, all I'll be left with is the blue part. Now, again, your personal choice, and I'll show you another way to do this But, you know, in a lot of cases, this is going to be the easier way, but I'll show you how to do it another way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the area of this rectangle. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the area of the rectangle is equal to 6 times 8, which is 48. Okay? Now the area of, we'll say, triangle 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2. So that's half the base times the height. And again, when it's a right triangle, the base and the height are very easy to find. So 1/2 is 6 times 2. Well, 6 times 2 is 12. Half of that is going to be 6. The area of the second triangle, again, what is this going to be? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So 1/2 of 6 times 8, which 6 times 8 we said was 48, and half of that is 24. Well, the whole rectangle minus the first small triangle minus the second small triangle, and what is that going to give us? Well, 48 minus 24 is 24, minus 6 is going to be 18, okay? So that's one way of doing it. Again, draw a rectangle around it. This is handy for lots of squares. In this one, if you want to do it a little bit differently, one of the things you could have realized is that your base, I can measure the base. I could say this is my base, and my right angle to the highest point would be out here, right? So I could say that my base is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and my height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I could have said the area of the triangle is equal to 1/2 the base times the height. And again, what do we say? Our base was really DF out here, and our height was this one out here. So you could have also said the area of the triangle is equal to 1/2 of 6 times 6, which is also 18. So pick your poison. Like I said, if you don't have this kind of side right here where you have a solid line going straight up and down, this is not going to be an option. So pick your poison, choose what works for you. Was the area of square STUV? And I know it looks like you're going to have to do a lot of work here, but remember, you have to use the properties. So you know that it's a square, therefore you know that all these are the same length. So whether they ask you to do the perimeter or anything like that, just remember, we're only going to have to find this one side right here. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right? Okay? So I know that SV is equal to the square root of 6 squared plus 9 squared. Well, again, I know that SV is equal to the square root of 36 and 81. And I know that SV is equal to, well, 36 and 81 is going to be, is that 117? 81, 91, 117, square root of 117. Now, before you go ahead and evaluate that, do yourself a favor, do yourself a huge favor. This is true, but we know that to take the area, well, all of these are the square root of 117, yes? So rather than go ahead and evaluate this, we're trying to simplify this. Remember, the area is equal to SV squared, right? Length times width, right? Or length times length, side squared, whatever you want to call it. So your area is equal to the square root of 117 squared, which is 117, okay? So before you go ahead and start evaluating things like crazy, just, keep in mind that some of those steps aren't going to be as complicated, okay? All right, I think we have 2 more. Yeah, okay. What's the perimeter of this? Again, looks like you're going to have to do a lot of work. You're going to have to do distance formula 4 times, but you're not, because if you remember, this is true. So if I want to find WV, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Oh, look at that. Isn't that handy? If that's 3 and that's 4, then that means this is a 3, 4, 5 right triangle. 3, 4, 5 right triangle, and the opposite side is also congruent. What that also lets you know is that if I go up 4 over 3 here, then this is going to be a 3, 4, 5 right triangle here. It should be anyway. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, 6, 8, 10. So what does that tell you? This is going to be 10, 20, 25, 30. So again, if you see that this is, I went up 4 and over 3, you know the properties of a rectangle that you're going to have to be perpendicular to that. Well, that means you're going to have a slope of negative 3/4. So in other words, I went down 3 over 4. I just did it 2 times the rectangle. Okay. And the last one is this. It's a mess. There's not much you can do about it. They were nice enough to go ahead and give you this side right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it's hard to see, but this is a trapezoid. Okay. I know this because I know the slope here is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Which is, again, nice enough to tell me this is a 3, 4. Oh, I know the length of this side. It's 5. But one of the things I also notice is that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This has also got a slope of 3/4, meaning this is a trapezoid. But again, let's go ahead and let's do it out. Let's go. I'm going to go over this way. It doesn't. You could go up and over if you want. Just to keep it on the outside, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, and how many did I go up? Well, I went 9 to get back to 0, 10, 11, 12. Again, 3 times 3, 4 times 3, and this has to be 5 times 3. I'm sorry, did I do that wrong? I'm sorry, I did. 3 times 4, 4 times 4. Okay. Again, once you see this parallel to this side, you know if this is a 3, 4, 5, this is going to have to be a 3, 4, 5. So my mistake. This is 4 times 3, 4 times 4, and this will be 5 times 4, which will be 20. Okay, so I know the side length here is 20. Okay, if you're not sure, you can just go ahead and do it. So really, now all I have to do is this one last side right here. Okay, so I got to go draw a line for this one. Okay, a handy thing if you don't want to count all these boxes, I know it's 9 on this side, and it's going to be 7 on this side. So again, what was it? It was 9 down this way and 7 up this way. So 9 and 7 is going to be 16 up. And again, how many did I go across? Well, again, it was -6 this way and +6 this way. So this is 12 squared. So this is 12. So again, things I might want to recognize is that these two sides are the same. This is 12 by 6, and this is 12 by 6, which is good news for us because that means that this side is also 20. Okay. So again, if you need to do this, do 12 squared times 16 squared. But again, once you notice that they're the same. So again, what seemed to be a really complicated one from the get-go, if you know a little bit about the properties, becomes increasingly easy. So 7 and 5 is 12, so this will be 52 is the perimeter. Also, make sure you're asking. They asked you for the perimeter. Give them the perimeter. Don't by accident give them the area. Okay. And that's about it. So good luck with all these problems. You're not doing the first one on IXL. You're doing area in the coordinate plane 2. Area in the coordinate plane 1 is way too easy. Okay, you're doing 2.